Hello, everyone. The person I chose to interview was Wasion High School principal, Mr. Keith Leatherman. First of all, a little background on Keith. He's a 1998 University of Toledo graduate with his degree in secondary math education. Obtained his master's from Bowling Green State University in 2001 in administration. He was a high school math teacher at Wasion for 10 years. He was assistant principal for 5 years, and he's currently serving as principal, and he is just completing his fourth year as principal. Um, a little bit about the school itself. We have 10% IEP. Uh, uh, Students are on IEPs. The Hispanic population is 20%, and it's on the rise. Uh, Economically disadvantaged is at 43% currently, and that fluctuates by just a couple percentages or so, but also seems to be rising slightly. And then the OEP population is 4%. Sort of a unique situation. Wasion High School currently houses all of the MH students for Fulton County. We have two classrooms of 10 to 12 students. One classroom is for 9th and 10th graders, and one is for 11th and 12th graders. Each class has one teacher plus 3 aides. And then we also have one tutor each grade level for 9th through 12th graders for our IEP and 504 students. Sort of an interesting slide that I kind of threw in here. I wanted to research it and explore it a little bit more. I'm not sure if you're able to, how well you're able to see this, but really shows a trend in our IEP and in our 504 students, and it's kind of an interesting trend that's happening. K to 6, we have 126 total IEP students. 7 to 12, we have 102 total IEP students. That registers for the K to 6 to about 18 per grade level, and the 7 to 12 at about 17 per grade level, so pretty consistent there. I thought the interesting part was our K to 6 currently, we have 10 total 504 plan students, and our 7 to 12, we have 62 total 504 plan students. That works out at our K to 6 level at about 1.4 per grade level, and 7 to 12 is about 10.3 per grade level. And just exploring this a little bit more and actually talk to our principal and our school special education director happened to be present for part of this as well, was that with the IEP students, that's going to be a pretty consistent figure. She doesn't see that fluctuating much. And the interesting part, I think, was the difference in our 7 to 12 current and our K to 6. And again, our 7 to 12 is 10.3 504s per grade level. K to 6 is 1.4 per grade level. She attributes this partly to the K to 6. Really, the RTI team is doing a great job, and the 504 plan students, there's not a great. They're addressing the issue with the RTI team. The 7 to 12 was kind of an interesting concept, is that she actually attributed this to, in large part, to when teachers were when it was thought that teachers were going to be evaluated based upon student performance on state level testing. She said that the number of teacher requests for 504s went through the roof. Mainly that 504 plan students, the teachers were requesting that the students, the state tests were going to be read to them. And she says now that that's not necessarily the case in terms of teachers being evaluated in that way. The 504s have drastically, requests for 504s from teachers has drastically dropped. Mr. Leatherman, our principal, said with the at the high school level, he rarely writes new 504s. He just kind of continues them from lower grade levels. And so basically what's happening is the number of 504s as these upper classes begin to graduate, the number of 504s district-wide is going to decrease significantly. At least that's sort of their prediction. So I thought that was kind of an interesting concept. Concerning leadership style, Mr. Leatherman likes to think that he's strong in all categories, with the ethics of caring, ethics of critique, and ethics of justice. He really in his mind, said that he really tries to focus on the ethics of caring. Um, and he feels very strongly, again, this is just his fourth year as principal, or finishing his fourth year as principal. He feels strongly that his job is to lead by example in how he treats others, and really wants that to be visible to other students and staff members. So he really goes out of his way to, to establish those relationships with teachers and students. He commented that he puts a lot of trust in his teachers to make decisions. He kind of stands back and lets them do their thing, and trusts that they'll be professional, and obviously trusts their training and PD and so forth that they've received. He said, commented that he likes to give them space to work, and he being a 10-year classroom teacher, obviously has experience in the classroom, and he said he's certainly willing to give advice to any teacher that wants it, but generally speaking, he only gives advice when he is asked for it. And again, that goes back to the fact that he really trusts his teachers and what they're doing. He also commented that good relationship with students helps on the discipline piece when it comes to that, and it also makes parents easier to deal with when it comes to disciplining their child. If you have a good relationship with the student himself or herself. Some of the organizational challenges that he commented on, he said one of the big ones is just simple class scheduling. I shouldn't say simple, because it's kind of a mess according to him. Mr. Leatherman commented that making sure that the IEP and 504 students are placed in the proper teaching periods with various classes that they're taking, co-teaching as necessary, while also still allowing them to at least have one period a day where they meet with a tutor. It can be challenging at times, kind of juggling schedules and make sure class sizes are at a workable number for the teachers as well. He commented that scheduling IEP meetings where everyone can attend can certainly be an issue. Obviously, from a teaching standpoint, before school is maybe an ideal situation, but obviously that doesn't always work for teachers. So IEP meetings may happen at random times during the day, so as to make sure that the parents and proper staff is there. So getting coverage for teachers for IEP meetings can be a bit of a headache for him at times, but obviously makes do. Wasion's pretty good about teachers covering for each other. We're not filling out timesheets. It's kind of give and take, pay it forward a little bit. Maybe I scratch your back today, and you cover my class tomorrow. So I guess from an administrative standpoint, he's probably pretty fortunate that our staff is willing to work with each other like that. And like I said, when it comes time to get classes covered and so forth, generally it's not a big issue. Another thing that's come up within the last several years is we have a what's called New Horizons Academy in Wauseon, and great education. It's on the board for autism. They primarily, I guess I should say, have students with autism. They have multiple handicapped students, and they've developed quite a reputation for servicing these type students. So much so that people from around the country have come to Wauseon School District and are actually attending the school. And Mr. Leatherman commented that working with them is not that the people over there are difficult, but it can be the communication is critical. It's increased our workload for our special education director, and so again, it just presents its challenges as such. Some of the cultural challenges he talked about was mainly a lot of it was our Hispanic population. We have a growing Hispanic population, and as a general rule, some of them lack that commitment to education, and just the overall lack some of the take two. I had to pause it real quick. My daughter needed something. Anyway, so again, just overall, like I said, lack that commitment to education. He also commented that in some of the cultures of the not just Hispanic, but some of the other LEP or ELL students, that generally their attitude towards women can make things interesting in the classroom when it comes time to discipline students, and they just don't look at women as being their equal, and obviously that sometimes that's reflected in classroom behavior, and sometimes they don't want to work for a female teacher. Also commented that at times it's difficult to assign 504s or IEPs to new students, the ELL students and so forth, because you don't know exactly, is there trouble due to the language barrier, or do they actually have an identifiable some sort of learning disability that will qualify them for the IEP. So he says sometimes that can be interesting at times, and obviously relying on the testing and the services that our teachers provide to kind of take care of that, which partly is also an issue that our current district currently has, is we have one ELL teacher total for the kindergarten through 12th grade. I can tell you she does a great job. She works her tail off. She's in every building every day, but it just really isn't enough time for the pull-out services, and for her to be able to do, I think she would agree, for her, not enough time for her to be able to perform the services that she would like to perform. Mr. Leatherman commented that, it's a focus of our administration, a focus of our superintendent to continue to provide PD opportunities for teachers to help service the LEP students, 504, IEP, and so forth. And I found out that if I'm being honest, I think somebody else commented on this, that I kind of grouped. I don't have a lot of experience with 504 and IEP students in the classroom, and in just casual conversations with other teachers, they're saying the same thing, that we kind of lump sometimes the 504 and IEP students together, so some additional PD opportunities for the entire staff, I think, will certainly be helpful. Community resources, we currently have an after-school program, primarily targets free and reduced lunch students. They bring in various speakers and professionals from our community to work with them, work on various, be it job skills, or maybe they just speak to them in a leadership capacity and so forth. I can tell you from a school standpoint that we have a good relationship with our local VFW, American Legion, Senior Center, Rotary Club, just to name a few. When we have assemblies, these community members often come in and speak, and I don't know if I call it a motivational speak, but kind of tell a little bit about themselves. And a lot of times they're really strongly embedded in the community. So I think our students really appreciate that. Mr. Leatherman ideally said he wants to encourage more involvement from families at risk, the at-risk students and students with disabilities. He'd also like to get more local businesses and community leaders into the school, and the administration team is kind of brainstorming how to make these things happen. I think part of it is we have 4 buildings. 3 of our 4 principals have less than 5 years experience, and so they don't have a lot of experience working together, and I think that they're all still trying to get their bearings around them, or about them, what it means to be a principal of a school. And don't get me wrong, they're doing a great job, but I think it's going to take them a while to really be in sync and get on the same page and provide these opportunities for our school. Some of the moral and ethical considerations, he acknowledges that parents sometimes lack the knowledge of the IEP and 504 process. They're very reliant upon the school to kind of point them in the right direction. Mr. Leatherman commented that the parent advocates are sometimes at meetings to kind of help with the process and explain what the process is and what exactly is happening. In the end, sometimes there's conflict, be it teacher, parent, or whatever the case may be. And he says this tiebreaker, again, I think this is the caring piece, is that he just tries to, the tiebreaker in his mind is always trying to do what's best for the student. He stays informed via monthly newsletters with court cases that come across his desk and court rulings to make sure that Wauseon High School and I think Wauseon Exempted Village Schools as a whole are in compliance. And again, he really says the administrative team does a nice job of bringing these